everybody, and welcome to the Sweet Talkin Ponies Podcast, your favorite podcast for everything My Little Pony. My name is Casey, also known as Charm in the My Little Pony spaces, and my pronouns are she, her, and he, him. Today, I am joined by Danny, who also uses she, her, and he, him, and Luz, who uses they, them pronouns. A special note for this episode of the podcast is that the first part was recorded the day before the Generation 6 reveals, and then the second part was recorded the day after. So that way you can compare our thoughts, hopes, and predictions with the actual reveals. I will put a timestamp on the screen if you would just like to skip to the part where we discuss the new reveals. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Sweet Talkin Pony Podcast. Woo! It's been a little while, but hopefully we can get a consistent schedule again. You wanna say hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, Luce again, back with the ponies on the Sweet Talkin Ponies Podcast.
Back at it again. Alright, so the main reason why we're recording today is because My Little Pony, Hasbro, they have been dropping so many cryptic-ass hints. And by cryptic-ass hints, I mean, like, Instagram videos of, like, a rainbow cloud effect and just being like, something big is coming soon, but, like, they've dropped a few videos like that, heavily implying that a new generation of My Little Pony is going to be announced tomorrow at the San Diego Comic-Con event.
Yes.
I know the first of these videos had, like, it had, like, a bit of a My Little Pony theme song in it, and I believe people pinpointed that down as, like, the extended theme song from, like, 2012, like, specifically a Generation 4 theme song. But other than that, Hasbro themselves, they haven't really given much explicit information. This wasn't, like, a public announcement, but it was, like, a page that people saw publicly where it was about a new animated series, like, document about, like, a new My Little Pony series, and I think it was for other, like, toy companies to produce, like, toys in, like, other countries, like Brazil and stuff like that, and, yeah, they had, like, some very scarce, like, a few lines of, like, a pitch, not really going into plot or anything, but they were talking about, the audience for the new animated series.
Was that something that they revealed in a press conference? Because I know that in the past there's been like little inklings coming from press conferences.
Yes,
like,
I believe.
held.
Yeah, I believe it was like a private press conference. Like it was invite only, and I think it was specifically with like other toy companies. Yeah.
Does that mean that Hasbro is planning on getting other companies to manufacture the merchandise instead of their own, I guess, Hasbro factories?
I do not know. I want to say I think it was specifically for like other countries, like Hasbro. Yeah, like it was for like Brazil and some other countries like that. And so I think it was for like international releases. The interesting thing was like they were talking about like what they saw as being the audience, and it was like mostly young girls, and then teenagers and adults were a secondary audience, so it's not just exclusively little kids, but also little kids are the main audience, which is good. I do think My Little Pony should be targeted at like its core audience, you know. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Why do my neighbors insist on putting, like, loud-ass motors on their cars? This was for Brazil, Argentina, a few other countries, but, like, the genre female, primarily girls 4 to 6 years old, secondary preteens and adolescents, and adult fans. Now, this was, like, I want to say, like, a few weeks ago is when I saw this. It was for a 2027 series presentation. It was, like, a 30-minute, like, private conference focusing on a new series which will represent a brand new generation of My Little Pony. They said they know friendship is magic and retro MLP, aka the Generation 1 like retro stuff. They acknowledged how popular they were and how they still wanted to actively develop new business for friendship is magic and retro MLP. And I took that as meaning like they're going to continue doing G4 and G1 stuff alongside the new series, but it could also be that they're looking at stuff that made those two things popular and implementing it into the new series.
Yeah, I from what I've seen online for people who are just going a little bit crazy about all this is that everyone has kind of accepted that G6 is going to be a G4 reboot. That's what I've seen the general consensus being. I don't really necessarily agree with that, but I feel like a lot of people have given up and they've accepted that that's what it's going to be. I think we've all known for a long time that Hasbro doesn't give like a crap about any other generation but G4 and then G1 as an extension. And I would be surprised if G6 does not incorporate G4 in some capacity, because like as that document shows, they know that's their big money maker as far as My Little Pony generations go. And I would not be surprised if G6 is some sort of G1, G4 hybrid type thing, or just a full-on reboot of G4. Even though, you know, I'm not going to like say that's it's over, it's G4, everyone get ready. But I just feel like we have to be considerate of the fact that Hasbro, first and foremost, wants to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a G1, G4 hybrid sounds interesting, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I think part of that is because there were a lot of rumors and leaks, specifically like quote-unquote leaks about, what is it called? The like friendship forever thing?
Yes. That image that's been going around.
If I can find that image, I will say with the leaks, I have been kind of annoyed with them because they haven't had 100% concrete proof behind them, but everyone's treating them as if they've been confirmed already, and it's like, well, the generation hasn't actually been released yet. Like, they haven't actually officially announced it yet, and so I kind of wish people would stop, like, judging it so harshly already before it's already come out, you know?
Yeah, from what I know about that image that's been going around with, it's Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Twilight, and they have, like, different colors in their hair. I'm trying to find the image right now. That was confirmed to be concept art from 2023, and we know who the artist is.
Yes, I saw...
Some people were saying it looked like AI, but it's most definitely not AI. It's just, it's like 3 years old at this point, and we cannot say like if it is a real leak or it's just concept art they didn't use, because like with the Camp Cutie Mark stuff, if anything's to be taken from that, it's that, you know, they can have fully developed concepts that they just aren't going to use.
Yeah. I definitely agree, because people were, like, kind of saying... First of all, I did see the artist come out, and, like, they couldn't say it explicitly because, like, there's NDAs involved, but they did say, like, hey, reminder, I don't use AI. So, like, I do think it's kind of a shame how people kind of just throw AI accusations around like crazy now, but, I do think the Camp Cutie Mark thing is an apt comparison, because part of the quote-unquote evidence that people were using to say this thing was, like, confirmed was because Hasbro was, like, issuing, like, DMCA, like, copyright, please remove this image to, like, YouTubers and stuff who were spreading this image around. But they did the same thing for Camp Cutie Mark. So, like, I think that's just Hasbro wanting to protect their intellectual property, their, like, concept art, regardless of whether this is going to be used or not. Maybe this will be the new generation, I don't know. I just don't think it's been confirmed yet, and so...
Yeah. Oh, you found the picture.
I did. I found it while I was talking.
Yeah. I also, a good point that I saw some people saying is that a lot of people who, like, quote-unquote release these leaks are people who just want to make people mad. Like, a lot of things like this tweet that you're showing me that says Opaline fans always tell the truth, and if we're wrong, it's because the world lies. I feel like that kind of means that this person, whoever is leaking this, like, they have kind of a gesture type personality to them, and I wouldn't be surprised if especially people who come from like 4chan, like as much as we owe to the 4chan people, their main goal, like 4chan people love to piss each other off.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not be surprised if a lot of these things are like old concept art someone found and is releasing it and saying this is G6, and just to make people upset, because people are getting really fucking upset about this picture because it doesn't have Applejack or Rarity.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, you know, look at Twilight's cutie mark, it only has 3 stars on it and stuff like that as confirmation that Applejack
sad.
and Rarity are going to be removed. And, you know, the evidence for that being that, oh, they sold the least toys during the G4's run.
Yeah.
And I think it's meant to piss people off more than anything.
Yeah, along with that, I've seen a huge divide between bronies and G4, G5 fans versus like the earlier collectors, G1 through 3 fans. Because a lot of the older collectors, like the people who like general My Little Pony stuff, a lot of them are kind of tired of Hasbro being so insistent on G4, and so a lot of them, they just kind of want to return to something new or something with a focus on the toys instead of the show or something like that. While the bronies, they love G4 because G4 was a really well-made show. It's like the most popular generation of My Little Pony for a reason. It's got beloved characters, it's got all this, and so a lot of them want to see like kind of a return of G4. So I have seen a lot of fighting where bronies are like, it's gonna be a G4 reboot, cry about it, liberals. Not, well, but like I feel like a lot of people are being really inflammatory about it, and I've seen a lot of collectors already be like, oh, it's a G4 reboot, I'm not gonna give it the time of day, I'm already disappointed in Hasbro. And it's like I have weird feelings about it because we don't know anything about this generation yet, and I also don't think you can judge the quality of something before it's fully released. You can have hopes, you can have fears, you can not like the idea of something, but until you actually see it in action, we can't fully judge it yet.
Yeah, it's just, I've been kind of jealous of the people, especially, I think, like, in collector circles, who are just kind of neutral about new My Little Pony content. Like, they just, their main interest is My Little Pony, and anything new that comes out is just, like, you know, additional content. And that's not a viewpoint I've seen a lot of, but it's something that I have seen, and I'm jealous about it because it's because I'm autistic, but My Little Pony means so fucking much to me. And it's just, there's so much writing on this. Like this, I remember like when G5 came out and I was excited and happy about it. And I was like, oh, all new things, all new characters. And I knew that a lot of people, and they still do, hate G5, but to an extent, like going to pony conventions around the era of G5, there were people who like loved the new characters and had merch of them, and like it was their favorite character and stuff like that. And that was just really nice and refreshing to see. And it's just like, oh, G5 failed. It's just like now there's so much writing on G6, and it's it's dividing so many people. And it's just, I've been like going through a really rough spot in my ability to care about My Little Pony because of personal reasons. And it's just, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel, you know, like lighthearted and exciting. It feels like a large group of people are going to be pissed off no matter what. And it's just, I just don't trust Hasbro to make the right decisions. Like, people say, oh, Rarity and Applejack are going to be removed. That would be a fucking stupid idea if what Hasbro wants to do with this new generation, if it really is a reboot of G4, removing 2 of the main characters, whether they were the most popular or not, is just ridiculous because you're removing a core focus of your show, a core element of your show, literally.
Yeah.
And that would just undermine everything that G4 established. So I think, like, with this one photo right here, whether it's real or not, it's true that it does feature, like, those Hasbro favorites, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Applejack and Rarity are in this hypothetical concept of this show. I'm not sure if they would be, but I just feel like they would either have to be off screen in this image, or they would have to be revealed later if like the 3 stars on Twilight's cutie mark is like actually plot significant. But I mean, like, it's really overwhelming. It's really stressful just not knowing what's going to happen and just knowing no matter what, someone is going to be disappointed, and it's going to be a large subsection of people. And it's just like with G5, you know, if people say, ooh, I hate G5, they could just choose to not interact with this. But I'm getting the feeling that regardless of what G6 turns out to be, it's something that everyone is going to be impacted by.
Yeah, I do kind of have a feeling that, like, maybe this is just personal because I feel like it's been a long while since we've been at the peak of G4 popularity. Like, the 2010s were really the highlight of My Little Pony's popularity. And I feel like with Generation 5, it's similar to how Generation 2 happened, where, like, they made a big change and so many fans were disappointed. I don't really know if fans can get even more disappointed than they were by Gen 5 with this, especially if they do a reboot. I feel like there will be a subsection of bronies who are happy with it, but, like, I feel like the only way it could be, like, that bad is if it's, like, AI slop or something like that, or, like, really, really, like, offensively bad.
Yeah, it's so hard because I personally like G5 because, you know, I didn't take it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
With all this pony stuff. It's very important to me as a person, but it's also like, I like toys, I like colorful characters, I like ponies. That's what I like. And, you know, I was happy for anything G5 was going to be because it was something new. And it's just like, it's so hard if they choose to reboot G4. There is so much writing on it because at least with G5, like I said before, you could ignore it because it didn't really impact, even though it was set in the same world as G4, it didn't really impact anything that couldn't be ignored. But if they choose to bring back G4, they are tampering with a big legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do anything wrong, if they mischaracterize any of the characters, if they change the world or the story, it's going to be so upsetting to so many people who love G4. And it's just so risky. And I understand why they would do it because it makes the most money, but it's incredibly risky. And I just feel like even if people who want a G4 reboot get this G4 reboot, they're going to be disappointed unless they manage to pull it off flawlessly. Yeah. And that's just something that's really scary to think about for someone who loves this show as much as I do.
Yeah, I really think if it is going to be a G4 reboot, in order for it to succeed, it's going to have to be a completely new universe. Because, like, G5 was kind of like a continuation of it, but, like, I feel like the way to do it would be to take characters and do something brand new with it. I don't know. I'm coming from, like, the collector's perspective where a lot of people are tired of the same thing over and over again. And I kind of, like, I hate to be, like, that one, like, oh, G1er, but I do like it when they try something new. Because Generation 4 is, like, it's like, going on 20 years old soon, I feel like. 2008 and we're almost on 2028. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just there's so much that could happen. As someone who loves, like, all the generations of My Little Pony, something that I think is good is when they take, like, a character from G1 and they make it like a G3 version, but it's distinct and it's fun to, like, trace the evolution of the characters. Like, oh, there's G1 Moondancer and then Moondancer was in G4 and it's like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But it's concerning when, you know, there's just so many factors, and especially because G4 is the most story-based out of all the generations, and it's going to be more difficult to remix these characters or write them in a different way, or say this is a completely different version than the previous, you know, Fluttershy that you knew, because everyone is so deeply connected to these characters. And it's like, okay, maybe Applejack and Rarity are gone, and maybe, like, you know, if it had been, you know, Applejack and Rarity from G1 removed for G3, like, okay, that'd be understandable. But it's just so story driven, especially if, you know, there's going to be an animated series, there's going to be comics. I think I just saw someone saying there's going to be G6 comics, sorry. And it's just hard to remove these core factors. It's harder to change these characters when, you know, millions of people know them. And I just feel like with the Applejack and Rarity thing, from a merchandising standpoint, like in the Asian market where they're selling G4 stuff, like Applejack and Rarity are still pretty popular there. And we just haven't had any G4 merch in America for a while to any substantial amount. It's just interesting to me. And it's just very, I'm unsure of everything. And I do want to bring this up, actually, in terms of the animated show. Like, it'll probably be a 3D animated show, right? Like, I would find it hard to believe they would choose to go back to, like, you know, 2D flash rigs and stuff like that. Like, I feel like G5, a lot of things that people didn't like was the CG. I personally thought it had its highs and lows. Didn't really mind that much. But I think that it's unlikely that they'll probably do 2D animation again.
That's interesting. Because I when I think of G5, I think its highlight was when it was 3D animation, because I think some of the 3D art looked rather nice, especially compared to, like, the YouTube short, like, 2D, like, weird style that they had going on at the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you know, I watched all of G5 as it was coming out, and I got to see, like, you know, the movie was, of course, the highlight of the whole generation, so beautifully animated. And then when they started the Netflix series, it was, like, a little rough, and then over the seasons, it got better and better to a very, like, you know, it looked nice. It was kind of like Miraculous Ladybug, like, it looked like Miraculous Ladybug by then. But that's pretty good. And then, of course, there was that 2D shorts. And, you know, when those designs were first released, everyone was pissed off. And then, you know, as you watched them coming out, which I did, it kind of grew on me. But that's a good point that if they do 2D animation, in this day and age, I think that maybe G6 is going to be a YouTube thing, you know, and that could be 2D animated. But it's just not very viable for there to be TV animated series anymore. Like, I'm thinking like Rainbow High, all of their things are released on YouTube and Netflix. Like, those never got to be on TV. Yeah. Monster High had a TV series on Nickelodeon for a little while, but it performed so badly they stopped making it. And it's like, okay, maybe like most of G5 after the Netflix series ended was a 5-minute long per episode YouTube series that was 2D animated in the same kind of puppet rig style, similar to G4. And it's possible that, you know, G6 could go down the same route. Maybe they'll have a more professional show that'll air on a streaming service like G5. Maybe they'll have a YouTube series, and I just think, I don't know how I feel about either of those options.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about, like, being a fan of animation is, you know, like, deep down that the days of, like, hand-drawn, like, old Disney movie, that style of animation, long gone. And it's mostly, like, 3D or sometimes with 2D. Like, G4 My Little Pony is a good example of this, or I'd even bring up something like Bluey, like puppet animation. And not to say that that's, like, a worse form of animation. I think it could look rather beautiful, honestly. With My Little Pony G6, I can see it going either way, being either a 3D animated show, because 3D is generally cheaper for animation companies, or I could see it being puppet animation similar to, like, Bluey or G4. I could see it going either way.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I'm really, really nervous, and it's like it's surprising to me. It came very fast. It feels like we've had. It was like from like 2 or 3 years of no content to now, it's being released in one day, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't have time to think about it at all.
Well, it's also
like I was getting too comfortable.
It's also, like, I feel like all the, but aside from Generation 2, which infamously had a very short run, Generation 5 has not lasted that long. It's lasted, like, 5 years. Every other generation has lasted at least 10.
Yeah, I feel very sad about G5 because that was the first, like, you know, generation that I could witness from start to finish within my memory, because I was very little when G4 came out.
Yeah.
And I feel like Hasbro's going to take all the wrong lessons from the failure of G5 and just like, okay, we have to go back to G4. We're going to produce toys of the same characters and stuff like that. It's just, it's very nerve-wracking. And like I said before, I feel like no matter what happens, like at least half of the fan base is going to be disappointed in one way or another.
I do have this fear, and I saw some G5 fans expressing this fear that because people have their emotions about the new generations, they're not going to even give it a chance, kind of like how no one gave G5 a real chance. Well, some people did, but like a lot of people just kind of wrote it off, dismissed it because it wasn't what they wanted out of My Little Pony. But I guess we could use that to like delve into our own personal like predictions, hopes, and fears for the next generation. Do you have any like we could start on like what do you think is realistically going to happen, and then like kind of going into what you would want out of a Generation 6.
I'm still holding on to the hope that G6 is not going to be a full-on G4 reboot. And I'm saying that partially because I want to kind of like be against the vast majority of people who have just given up and they're just accepting that it's a G4 reboot and they're upset about it. And, you know, I want to believe that we can still have the same amount of creativity that Hasbro had with previous generations, where we don't have to rely on, you know, iconography to sell our generations. I do think that the likelihood of it being at least partially G4 is incredibly high. Mm-hmm. They have like some of the most recognizable cartoon characters on Earth, and they do sell well, so it would be, you know, interesting if they didn't decide to do that from a marketing or financial standpoint. I sincerely hope that the toys are good. That's what I really, really hope is happening. Because I don't really like how the toys have been for like the past like 15 years. Like I think after like they stopped producing secondary characters for G4, like that's when things kind of went downhill. Like I love the G4 toys, I grew up with those, but there's just not a lot of variety. Then we got G4.5, those toys, the potion toys, and those are just kind of ugly. And then the G5 toys are really unremarkable. As much as I do like them, I want them to make toys that are the same, like consistent size as the previous generations. Like there are ponies that I have that are bigger and smaller, but like with G5 there was a lot of, it was interesting how many different sizes of ponies they produced. Like you had your little tiny brushables, your bigger brushables, like your rainbow celebration size brushables, and it was just very inconsistent, and I didn't like that. So I hope there is like a consistent sizing guide for the kinds of ponies there will be. I mean, I would hope that the show would be a TV animated show. I think in this day and age, the likelihood of it being on streaming or on YouTube is much more likely. But, you know, I didn't mind that when I was watching G5 as it came out. Like, I would go home after school and watch it on Netflix, and that was fine. You know, I don't hate either 2D or 3D at this point, as long as, you know, they're able, because like this image that I'm looking at right here, the potential leak, as we all know from like every animated movie ever, the concept art never looks like how the final product is. The concept art is always way higher quality than the actual final product. So, you know, as long as the designs look okay, I don't mind if it's 2D or 3D. In my personal wants, I wouldn't want it to be a G4 reboot. I would be fine if they took a couple characters like they have for previous generations. But I want new characters, new locations, new story, everything like that. But, you know, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if a company with an IP this huge and characters this recognizable would take another chance, considering that, you know, they tried to do that with G5 and it was not a success. So they might have been scared away from that potential.
Yeah. Thank you for your thoughts with that. I feel like something that has been kind of in the back of my mind, like I thought of this last night when I was looking at people like just perpetuating this leak over and over and over again. I thought about how when I was a teenager, I want to say this was in between like Generation 7, Generation 8, Generation 9 of Pokemon, but people would spread around these images of like leaked starters, and it was like a rabbit, like a fire rabbit, but like not anything like Scorbunny. This was before Generation like 8. It was like a rabbit, a monkey, and a platypus design. And everyone loved these designs so much. They were like, oh, these look really legit. These look really cool. And everyone thought that they were real. And they just straight up weren't. And like, I remember the platypus design became so popular that they put it in that one like really shitty ripoff game, like the Pal World game. They put that thing in there. But like, I feel like everyone was convinced this leak was real, and then it just wasn't, and I feel like that could happen with this, honestly.
Yeah. I just want everyone to remember that the first official look we got at G5 was random bed sheets.
Random bed sheets.
I think that, you know, these, like, images that, like, people from 4chan and Twitter are leaking, they're almost too perfect. They're almost too good.
Yeah.
And that's not to say they aren't official images, because as like with Camp Cutie Mark, things that are official are often like can be scrapped as well. Even with the G5 leaks, like back way before actual G5, where it was also turning out to be a G4 reboot, like with the unicorn Fluttershy and all that. Like that's probably official. I think that's been confirmed. But of course, that never happened. And I just think that, you know, there's not enough, like we are for sure going to see what this thing is tomorrow. To an extent. I don't know how much they're going to reveal, but we're going to figure out something. And I just feel like we are more likely to get an official G6 reboot from like some like third-party company putting up a listing too early than we are from like, I'm a hacker and I just got into the Hasbro meeting room and I took these photos. And it's like, I don't think that it's like as big a deal as these leakers make it out to be. I just think that if we're gonna get our first look at G6 through something a lot like less impressive and a lot less high stakes.
Yeah, because I feel like the issue with like, because there is a real issue of people like not listening to NDAs and being inside the company and leaking something they weren't supposed to, but I feel like that doesn't happen as often as people think it does.
Yeah, it's always, it's interesting how this happens only with, like, My Little Pony and not like, any other Hasbro or, like, kids franchise. It's only My Little Pony. And it's just, like, I think, I mean, if G5 was leaked through bed sheets, I think that G6, if it wasn't for this panel happening tomorrow, then I think it would probably be through, like, you know, some company just being foolish with their listings.
Here's our new birthday party paper plates.
Yeah, and that's what it's gonna be.
I feel like at the same time, while I'm being like all Debbie Downer, like, oh, these leaks are fake, I would not be surprised at all if it is a G4 reboot. I would not be surprised, like, realistically, because I know like a ton of the like concept art that Hasbro worked on for not only Gen 6 but for Generation 5 as well is just re-exploring the characters and themes of Generation 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does involve a big amount of Generation 4. But my personal hope is that like it is something original as well, because we touched briefly on like how most generations, they have a tendency to like recycle old characters, but they do it in a new way. Like even with Generation 4, all of the main characters, we've seen them before. Like Pinkie Pie started out as Surprise, who was a white pony with neon yellow hair and purple balloons from Generation 1. But like even if they have reboots of old characters, a lot of them still had brand spanking new characters. Like in Generation 4, like Celestia and Luna were brand new designs that I don't believe were based on like, or at least their names are different enough to where you could see them as completely new designs in addition to the reboots. So my hope would be maybe they do have a new version of Twilight or Fluttershy or Pinkie Pie or something like that. But I would hope they have other characters as well, like other new characters, like Sunny Star Scout or something like that.
Yeah, I would definitely hope they would bring back G5 characters for G6 because, like I said, not everyone likes G5, but there are definitely a large subsection of fans who love the G5 characters. And with the Asian market, especially like with China, they love G5 over there too. So it would probably be weird if they didn't include those characters in some way.
Bring back Scout Kindheart.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but...
No, that would never happen, but oh my goodness. What else? I also do think that we're just at the point where My Little Pony is going to be more famous for being a show than, like, a toy line. Because I've seen a lot of bronies being like, oh, this new show, and it's like, yes, My Little Pony show is important, but, like, it's also a massive toy franchise. That's what's going to make Hasbro the most money, and I would love it if the show's great. I do think, like, if they, with how cartoons are written nowadays, like, especially if you compare it to, like, Generation 1 My Little Pony, like, I like the original Generation 1 movie, and I like the concept and art of a lot of the old shows, but a lot of them are so boring, I will fall asleep watching that shit. Whereas G4, they have, like, compelling storylines, like, it's well written. I would love it if the show was good, but I would also love it if they focused more on toys, because, like you said, there was kind of a decline of focus on the toys, because I feel like Hasbro just kind of realized they could put out anything and it would make money because G4 was just that popular. The early G4 brushables are so cute. I love them, but they are smaller, they use a lot less plastic, they started using cheaper hair, polypropylene, that would rip out of their skulls, and when you compare them to, like, older toys, the quality, unfortunately, just declined so much. And I do think if they want to make money with the toys again, like, maybe they would just put Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash and Twilight and Fluttershy out, and they'll make a butt ton of money. But if they really want to, like, appeal to, because I don't know how many kids nowadays know a lot about Generation 4. The people who grew up with Generation 4 knew about it, but, like, I work with kids, and I work with, like, kids' birthday parties specifically. So I see a lot of kids doing, like, birthday parties. I see a lot of Hello Kitty birthday parties, Sanrio. I see, like, video gamer parties. I never see My Little Pony parties. I never see little kids talk about My Little Pony. And so I don't know if little kids would be buying a fuck ton of My Little Pony toys unless they actually make the show good, or unless they actually make the toys really appealing to kids.
Yeah, with the whole Rarity and Applejack thing, I wish that they wouldn't remove them, because I feel like kids like having a variety of characters. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think the 4 in this picture are very cute, but, you know, there should be more. Like, the whole balance is thrown off. Like, 1 Earth Pony, 1 Unicorn, or maybe Alicorn eventually, I don't know, and then 2 Pegasi. Like, that's just not how it was intended, and I just feel like kids would enjoy it more if there was more characters to choose from, like a good solid cast of main characters. Like, when I was younger, I was amazed when I found out that there were 3 generations before G4, and I loved all the characters, and I just feel like that might happen to kids who grow up with G6. Like, they'll find out, oh, in the past there was other characters, and maybe they'll wish that they were included in this generation, but I don't know.
Yeah, and with the amount of characters, I feel like Hasbro, please, this is just the ideal in my heart. I wish they would find a good balance with making toys of a wide variety of characters and making toys of the main characters, because, like, before Generation 3, Generation 2, Generation 1, literally hundreds of ponies. Literally hundreds of designs to pick from. You could go to the store, different sets. There'd be, like, at least 6 different ones to choose from per set. Whereas G4 onward, it's mostly just the main 6 characters, the main 5 characters. Maybe at the very beginning of G4, if you were lucky, you would find, like, the other characters like Diamond Rose, Bumble's Honeybuzz, whatever their names are. You would find some characters. I know a lot of people in Generation 3 were unhappy when they went into the Core 9 era, where they only produced toys of the 9 ponies. My wish for Generation 6, healthy balance. Healthy balance of main characters, and then also provide enough interesting toys, because if I get all 4 of these ponies, if I get a Fluttershy, a Twilight, a Pinkie Pie, a Rainbow Dash, I'm not going to be incentivized to buy any more, like, new toys unless there's something new or different, because, like, what's the point when I already have a perfectly good Twilight Sparkle?
Yeah, it's just hard. Like, I love Monster High, and my favorite character is Draculaura.
Mm-hmm.
I have, not even shitting you, like 30 Draculauras, and they're all the same character. But they have different makeup, different outfits, different hair, different themes. So each, even though I like to collect the same character, everyone is distinct. And you just can't really do that with pony toys, because they did do that with G3. Like, oh, here's a G3 Sweetie Belt, and this one has her name printed on her leg and stuff like that. But it's just not as distinct. And it's just, even if they change like their hair, like at that point, just make a new pony. And it's just not as diverse.
My wants and hopes and dreams, I just want diversity. I want good quality toys, and I don't want any AI slop. Please and thank you. No AI slop, no fucking NFTs. I think NFTs are pretty dead at this point. I hope AI dies along with it.
I'm just interested to see this panel tomorrow. I probably won't like watch a recording of it, but I'm sure that the moment that they say anything, it'll be exploded on the internet. I'm just interested to see like how much they're going to reveal, like what they're going to say, how it's going to be presented. I'm really, really nervous about it. It feels like there's so much writing on this, and I want to be proven wrong. I want to be proven right. Anything that happens, we already know it isn't going to come out until next year. So there's quite a bit of time in between. But it's just, so it's nerve-wracking, I don't think I've ever been so nervous for a cartoon show reveal. It just seems like there's a lot riding on it.
All right, then I think I'm going to cut off the recording there, and we'll join back tomorrow on the 24th of July whenever the new presentation comes out. And y'all can roast y'all can roast my ass in the comments when they reveal that it is the G4 reboot leak. They're going to be like, haha, you stupid idiot, the leak was real. And then I'm going to have to go on YouTube and stare at the camera solemnly and say, I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and then I'll pull out my ukulele.
Always bet on G2 reboot. Always bet on G2 reboot.
God. That would never happen, but can you imagine?
That would be awesome.
I feel like the bronies would go fucking insane. There'd be a riot.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. My Little Pony's new generation isn't quite what I thought it'd be.
Hello, everybody.
You didn't say every pony. I'm canceling you.
Fuck! So how we feeling?
I feel like the video of the beach that makes you old video where he says, I'm going to go to the beach that makes you old and I'm not going to turn old. And then it cuts to the next day and he's old.
So I went to the beach that makes you old.
You went to the what?
The beach that makes you old.
The beach that makes you old? I'm not going to entertain the idea that a beach could make you old. I'm finding it hard to believe. It doesn't hold together logically.
Go to the beach if you want. But you'll get old.
I doubt it.
Look at how fucking old I am.
I'm not going to get old.
You will get old.
I won't.
You will.
The beach will not make me old. I got old.
I hate that movie so much. I got so many trailers for it, and they made me like physically ill. That's the only thing I can think about anytime I hear about it.
I gotta turn you down. You're really loud. How do I do that on my iPad?
I got the nice Rode microphone.
Oh my god, you're so loud. I can't use my Rode right now because my computer got fucked up because I sprayed bug spray all over it when a million spiders hatched all over my desk and ponies. It was terrible. It was terrible. They were all over Teddy Ruxpin. They were all over the Scout Kindheart. It fucking sucked. And I broke my computer monitor spraying bug spray everywhere.
I have made a severe and continuous lapse in judgment. That's not even her apology, but that's just the one I always think of.
No, that's the one I quoted yesterday.
Yeah, that's just not her, the ukulele apology.
I know, we can combine the two. Logan Paul,
Yeah.
Colleen Ballinger
You can't
crossover.
make a YouTuber apology joke if it's not the Paul one.
Okay, so I guess we'll jump in and discuss the actual reveal. Let me find the image, because it was actually a different image than the leak one, because Twilight looks different. So let me find that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got like
They did a different.
they
It's
got the artist to draw a new picture.
It's the same. It's the same design, but it's a different pose. And I realized yesterday we forgot to verbally describe the picture, so we could do that now too for people who are just listening without visuals. But I guess I should just start out by saying today is July 25th. And the reveal happened at San Diego Comic-Con yesterday, and then Hasbro made like a post on their social medias revealing Generation 6 of My Little Pony, and it is called Forever Friendship. It is, in fact, the same like series that was being passed around with the leaks. And I will say this right now, I feel like I'm gonna get bullied for being like so skeptical about the leaks, and then the leaks turning out to be like real. But I still stand by my past self's opinion that you shouldn't just, like, go crazy over a leak without confirmation. Like there might be evidence that makes you think it's real, but you should still wait to fully react until you have all the information. So I'm not going to apologize for that. But I will make a silly YouTube apology.
Yeah, I didn't see this
Yeah, so...
image specifically.
Yeah, so I've posted the image. I hate that I watched that fucking meme video, because now I'm hearing my own voice and I feel like I sound like Ben Shapiro.
You're okay.
When someone said I sounded like fucking Cartman or whatever.
Someone once said that he sounded like Eric Cartman.
That's so funny. No, you don't.
I think they misspelled it. I didn't even know who it was, and I was like, did they misspell Cartman?
You guys don't sound like that. No, you're much better.
Okay, good. Good. Next thing is like we'll get a random commenter being like, "Oh, you sound like Elon Musk."
I'm ending it if someone says that to me.
So, the Forever Friends image, it has a, like, rebooted design of, like, Twilight Sparkle, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash, and they're on this, like, pastel rainbowy background with, like, clouds and shit on it. And by redesigns, the best way I can put it is it looks like those fucking, like, Tumblr redesigns where people are like, this is my idea of a new generation of My Little Pony, but they just take the ponies and change them ever so slightly and, like, give them extra hair stripes with, like, ooh, Fluttershy has a stripe of blue hair. Oh, Pinkie Pie also has some blue stripes. Twilight has a blue and a pink stripe. Rainbow Dash just has regular rainbow hair. And I do think the art style is very nice and cute. It's really well done. They have small details like freckles, like Twilight's freckles are star shapes. Pinkie Pie's freckles are like confetti shaped or like sprinkle shaped. Pinkie Pie's balloons are hearts, stuff like that. It's just G4, but, like, imagine, like, a Tumblr kind of redesign of them is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. I was really surprised when this leak was real because it was so Tumblr coded. I was amazed because this is like exactly what people on Tumblr have been drawing, like their idea of the main six, like down to like the sprinkle shapes on Pinkie Pie. Like a really popular like headcanon fanon that people on Tumblr specifically have is Pinkie Pie having sprinkles on her.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's real is just amazing to me.
Yeah, genuinely, my first thought before even like being tired when I saw the image was like, oh, so they took Tumblr's thing. That was my first thought. It's like, oh, they took Tumblr's pony thing.
Hold on. I think there's probably art from before I was into, like, the older generation fandom when I was just, like, a brony. There's probably art I did of Pinkie Pie that looks like that. Hold the fuck on. From, like, 2021 or some shit.
You've done of G1 ponies that does this.
Yeah, there is art I've done of G1 ponies like this. What of it? What of it? Fuck you.
I'm just saying, it's the thing.
Like there's art I did as a kid where Pinkie Pie has like little like blue and yellow like fucking freckles and shit like that.
To be fair, it looks like Twilight also has colorful freckles as well. I didn't notice that.
She does. They're shaped like stars.
Interesting. I don't know. You know what this reminds me of? There's this doll series called Decora Girls, and they released a spin-off like of ponies, like specifically pony toys called Ponies, spelt with a Z. And it looks like this. And it looks almost exactly like what they're going for.
Interesting.
Like they have the designs like on their faces, and they have eyeshadow and like multiple, like more than 2 colors.
It reminded me kind of the little designs that Twice as Fancy ponies have.
Yes. If, and this is a big if, because we'll talk more about my thoughts about the generation later. But if the toys are faithful to these designs and they actually include like all the little details, all the little sprinkles on Pinkie Pie's face, if they are high quality toys that follow these designs and they like translate cutely into toy design, I think that would be fucking awesome. But that's a big if, because I don't have a lot of faith in Hasbro when it comes to their toy quality. Like, I saw people like speculating about like, and this is a wild speculation that I saw on, like, the trading post that I don't think they would ever do, but they were like, oh, this art style kind of reminds me of, like, those Pop Mart dolls that, not the Labubu ones, but they have, like, the kind of eyes like that, where, like, it's, like, the inset eyes, and I'm like, I cannot see them doing that with My Little Pony. I'm sorry, Hasbro's too cheap.
Yeah, I know that they've done it with, they've done it a few times in the past with Littlest Pet Shop. I don't know if they're like, I have a glass eye. Like I have one of mine is glass eyed. Hang on. I have a spider with little inset glass eyes. So they've done it before with Littlest Pet Shop, but I don't know if they've done it with any of the most recent Littlest Pet Shop. But I know it's something that they've done in the past. At least.
With My Little Pony, I have a collector Pinkie Pie that's like a sea pony Pinkie Pie, and she has.
I have that one.
Like it's not. I don't know if it's inset, but her eyes are made of like clear plastic, and it gives off the effect of inset eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think. Because the thing is, like, I don't even know why I had so much faith in Hasbro. I guess I thought, well, G5 was a flop. There's no way they can get even lazier than that. I don't know what the fuck kind of drugs I was on last episode. Sorry, guys. Like, I don't know. Because, like, and that sounds really, really negative. That sounds like I'm just shitting on this generation. I'll still give it a fair chance. Like, I'll give it a fair chance. Like, I'll wait to see the toys before actually making, like, any 100% these are my full opinions. I was just assuming that Hasbro would learn some sort of lesson from, like, why they think G5 failed and, like, use that and use what made G4 popular to make a new generation. I didn't think they were just gonna reboot G4. Like, I thought it would be possible to see G4 characters again. I didn't think it would just be G4.5 again. Like, I don't even know why I thought that, because this is what Hasbro has been wanting to do clearly for a long time. I just had a little more faith, and I don't know why I had that faith.
Yeah, like, how did you guys feel when you saw the leaks were real? I wasn't watching the live stream while it was happening. I went on Reddit and someone had made a post like 2 minutes before of like their fan art, and it said leaks confirmed real, and I was like, oh no. and then I found the live stream like a few minutes later, and I watched it, and it's like, oh, everything. Like, I was so confident that the leaks were not real. What's interesting to me is that if that art was confirmed to be from 2023, then why are they reusing it? Like, didn't the Camp Cutie Mark stuff come after 2023? So does that mean they fell back on this idea?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're just using concept art from 2023 just because it's still good art and they like paid for it back then, but like if it hasn't been officially revealed to the public, it's still considered new art even if it was drawn a while ago. But to answer your question of, like, feelings, I was not surprised. I was a little, I was both not surprised and also just mildly disappointed, but I felt like, yeah, that tracks with how Hasbro has been treating My Little Pony, and I just can't even bring myself to care. Which sounds crazy, because this is a new fucking generation of My Little Pony, but it's already, like, it feels laughable to call it a new generation, because even with G5, which is very connected to G4, it's, like, in the same universe, but, like, hundreds of years later, in, like, G4 characters appear in G5, yada yada, it's still different enough to where you could tell the difference between them. Like, they look like different series. Like, I feel like if you took a non-Pony fan and you showed them images of all the My Little Pony generations, even if they didn't know, like, the differences between them, they could at least be like, okay, well, those like, Generation 1 images look like they belong in the same series, and they look different from, like, Generation 3 or something like that. But, like, this is so close to G4, I feel like people would see this and get confused and think it's just G4. Like, I don't understand why they're even calling it a new generation when it's just a complete direct reboot. I don't understand why they're not just saying, we're going back to G4. Like, it's like if Pokemon, like, were like, oh, we're releasing a new generation, and they just released Kanto again. Like, that would never fly. Like, that, but because bronies don't know My Little Pony history, and because people aren't as familiar with the older generation, for some reason, people are just accepting it, and that's bonkers to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mixed opinions. I've seen some people happy, some people upset. I do want to say, like, I kind of feel like an opinion I've seen a lot is like, oh, G4 fans were begging for more G4, and now that they get more G4, they're upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that opinion is half true and half false, because it's true that a lot of people wanted to see these characters come back, but there are some big changes. Like, they confirmed that Applejack and Rarity will be in the series, but we don't know if they're going to be main characters, and if they aren't, that would be really upsetting. Then again, you know, like, Starlight and Trixie and G4 weren't main characters, but they still had a large role, and they were liked for completely different reasons than the main six, so it could be okay. I do want to say, like, when the people who wanted more G4, they wanted
Season 10.
Yes, they wanted, like, Flurry Heart and Luster Dawn spinoff, which would have been good, but also, like, still no like, main six, so Hasbro would never go for that. And it's like, they are not going to make a season 10. They are not going to do that. I don't even know if they have the capabilities to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because, you know, all the people who worked on G4 might have already moved on. But why would they continue adding to a story that is already bloated and already doesn't need the main six anymore, when they can just repeat G4 over and over again in a time loop for as long as they want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels really disappointing, because it feels like we're never ever going to get an actual new generation. Because I guess I thought Hasbro would learn a lesson other than, oh, G4 made us money, so let's just go back to that. I thought that, I don't even, yeah. I'll also say that, like, alongside this image in, like, the logo that were revealed, they did reveal a few small other details. Like, they revealed the voice actors. They had, like, a little video of the voice actors, like, speaking and recording, so you could actually hear their voices. I think they're all fine. I love seeing young voice talent, especially, like, newer voice talent. I looked up some of the voice actors. Some of them have been in animation. Some of them are brand new to the animation scene. And I think they will all do fine jobs. I'm glad that there's no more Tara Strong. Fuck that bitch. Sorry. Not sorry, actually.
Yeah, my friend was upset about the new voice actors because he thought they were only cast because they had big Instagram followings. And I don't know how true that is. I did look them up as well, and they do. Like, he was upset because they seemed inexperienced and only chosen based on internet appeal, but I had never heard of any of these people, and they seemed to do a good job to me, so I don't know if I really care.
I find that to be annoying.
I
because
heavily disagree with that as someone who is, like,
people people deserve to be in something regardless of experience, and there's always going to be someone's first voice acting big project.
Yeah,
So to be like, oh, but they're not experienced, it's like, okay.
Well, also,
not every voice actor starts out experienced. Hello.
Yeah, I'm coming as someone who's taken voice acting classes and like very sincerely tried to get into the industry. That is something where, like, number one, I feel like they could have gotten a large part of this following after the reveal happened. But number two, like, when I say I was looking them up, I wasn't looking at their Instagram. I was looking at, like, IMDb, looking at, like, their previous acting experience.
Yeah.
And, like, to even get into something like this, you have to take classes, get your name out there. And so I'd say if they've landed a fucking role with Hasbro, even if it's their first voice acting job and they're still learning, they're probably more experienced than you think. Because they've been training for this for years. At least you would presume.
I think the voice actors are good. I think they sounded very accurate without being, like, exactly the same, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
It's a little sad, like, the old cast isn't returning, but it's also, like, they didn't cease to exist. They still exist, and they're still going to be known as the voices of, like, Pinkie Pie and whatnot. But I think they made a good choice with the voice acting.
Mm-hmm. I do prefer having a new cast over just recasting the same one again, because it makes it even more different than G4. Like, we don't want the exact same thing again, and part of the thing with voice acting old roles that have existed is a lot of times you don't want to sound exactly the same because you still want to put, like, your personality and your heart into your acting, and it's best, like, it makes your performance more unique, I think. They also revealed that the show will not be like a TV show, it won't be on Netflix, it will be 9-minute YouTube productions. What are our thoughts on that?
I think it really sucks, and I have multiple reasons for that. The first reason is, you know, with Make Your Mark and Tell Your Tale, which were the G5 productions, when Tell Your Tale would come out on Netflix, it would just be like a batch release of episodes. And a lot of people were upset about that because they missed the experience of having watch parties with people as they release. I feel like YouTube, it's a little easier to have those kinds of releases because it'll be one at a time and you can still sit and watch it. You know, that element of it being live, unless they decide to YouTube premiere each episode, which I doubt they will, that experience is still kind of gone. I was saying this yesterday, but it's kind of sad that, like, not to say that there's no cartoons airing on TV channels anymore, but the fact that, you know, a lot of cartoons only come out on YouTube or on streaming, there just isn't, like, that sense of excitement. Like, there's no, like, oh, new episode next week, let's get up on Sunday morning and watch it. But it's just disappointing. I also think that because they're YouTube videos, there's a lot less, they don't have to put as much time and quality into the work. They can just ship it out to some cheap animation production company and then put it on YouTube. And there doesn't have to be a huge team backing it. You can make it for very cheap without many people. And it's just sad. Like, I think one of the reasons G4 was so successful is because the television format guaranteed it would have a large amount of people working on it and would be very high quality. And it's just sad to see, like, they just think that because, you know, the target audience that MLP now is iPad babies, that there's no need to make an actual show. And I just think it's really disappointing.
I will touch on that and just say I think that is just an unfortunate trend that I've seen with, like, animation and stuff in general. I think just unfortunately the rise of television has come to an end and, like, computers and cell phones have kind of taken its place, and I think that's just, like, a bigger issue for, like, cartoon channels in general, like, or, like, just TV as a whole, not just cartoons, but especially stuff like Cartoon Network, Disney, The Hub, I think these things are kind of ceasing to exist and moving to, like, streaming and stuff. But even then, I would take a Netflix show over fucking YouTube Shorts, because YouTube Shorts, like, it does very much seem like a social media cheap they're like a cheap way to produce something. And not to say that everything produced on YouTube is bad. There's great indie shorts and there is some great quality content on there, but it doesn't feel like as big of a deal when it's a YouTube short compared to like a Netflix show. And I worry about the quality. I have no idea how these designs are going to translate over to animation, by the way, because like I think this artwork is very beautiful and there could be like a beautiful animated style like this, but how much is that going to cost Hasbro? Are they going to want to put in money, or is it going to look cheap, like very, very cheap, simplified, like terrible looking puppet animation or something like that? Will it be 2D or will it be 3D? I could see it going either way because this art is 2D, but I feel like 3D is cheaper to produce. I just have a lot of questions and I'm hesitant. I will say I have seen people complaining about the length, like 9 minutes is too short of a time to do anything. And I do agree that like longer TV shows gives more time to breathe, gives you more time in the plot, but I don't actually think 9 minutes is the end of the world. I think that has been like a standard cartoon length for a while, like Cartoon Network shows like Steven Universe, Uncle Grandpa, shows that were on TV, they have like 10-minute episodes and it works for those shows. I think it just depends on the writers and how they're able to handle that time and if they can make the flow of the plot feel like it fits.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, a lot of shows are 9 minutes, but I'm just scared because it's going to be for YouTube. Like, they don't have to put as much quality into it if they don't want to. Like, the Make Your Mark and Tell Your Tale, like, the Netflix show was a decent runtime, but the YouTube series that eventually became the only content for G5 was only 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And most of it was slice of life. Sometimes they did try to introduce more plot-heavy things, but G5 was canceled right before they started introducing more plot, like actual significance to the story, within those 5-minute episodes. So we never got to see how they would have handled it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that was ever its intention. I thought that the Netflix show was supposed to be the main series where they introduce different things, and then the YouTube shorts became all that it was.
Yeah. 5 minutes is fucking crazy work for a fucking show.
Yeah.
One of the things that they talked about was the tone, and they were saying they were actually going for more of a G3 vibe, which actually makes a lot of sense because G3 is very popular right now. The kids who grew up with G3 are in their early 20s right now, so people are very nostalgic for that. So they were saying, like, G3 in terms of, like, cutesy, lighthearted little girl show that is extremely obvious that it is for little girls, and, like, but mixing that with G4 characters and how G4 had a tendency to do like adventure stories. And I think that's a fantastic idea in theory.
Yeah.
I
think the idea for how the show would work sounds really nice, but I just don't know how they're gonna execute it.
Yeah, and I have my doubts with them just bringing back G4 characters. Like, I keep harping on that. I'm sorry. But it's like, I wonder, and when I say, like, I was wondering if Hasbro would learn a lesson, are they actually going to try to make it good like G4 was, or do they think they just need the characters to make money, is my question. Because G4 is good for a reason, because they put in, like, effort and care and, like, told great stories and made the characters charming. And sure, those characters are charming, but if you just bring them back without any of that actual substance, are they going to do that because they think, oh, we have Pinkie Pie, she makes us money?
Yeah, at the end of the day, if the show is bad, I don't really mind as long as the toys are good. Like G5, I did like the characters. I thought it had a lot of wasted potential in terms of story. And while the toys had lots of issues, I still enjoyed going to the store and finding toys in the store. And I thought there were some really good toys. Not all of them, but a lot of them were good. And I just hope that's something that I can continue to do with this new generation at the end of the day, because that's something I can physically have forever. Like, even though G5 is over, I'll always have my G5 toys, and they can't take that from me. And that's just something that is a little more ephemeral when it comes to, you know, YouTube videos.
I'm gonna hold off on, like, giving my predictions for the toys, because I did talk about, like, oh, if they translate these over to toys, it would be really good. But, like, I have no idea if the toys will be good quality. I'm having my doubts because I've lost all my faith in Hasbro. But I don't want to actually, like, say any thoughts until we see images of toys. Because I feel like that was kind of brushed over. Like, someone on the trading post was at the con, and they said that it was very, like, G4 focused. The guy in charge of the moderating the conversation seemed to only really care about, like, G4 stuff, and I feel like that's kind of why a lot of people in the collectors fandom are very salty about this, because it isn't that G4 is bad. G4 is great. It's just fucking annoying when fans treat that as all that My Little Pony is, because G4 only exists because of G1. Like, G4 is built off of...
My Little Pony is over 40 years old, and it has a wonderful, beautiful legacy and a wonderful history of Generation 1 and Generation 2 and Generation 3, and to completely push that to the side because it's not the one you enjoyed watching is really, really stupid.
Well, it also just feels
because
like...
there's this wonderful history you have and all this wonderful stuff that you could take things from to help make a new generation, which is what Generation 4 did. So I think it's really weird to just look at Generation 4 and completely ignore everything Laura and Faust did to honor the older generations.
Well, it also just feels like they don't even fucking know anything about the previous generations.
Yeah.
And that's concerning because these are the people producing the new generation. And it's like, I get bronies who just grew up with G4 and don't really understand anything, but it feels so fucking disrespectful to just pander to them and them alone and just fucking sideline the rest of the series when like, I don't know. It feels disrespectful to what came before, and it also just feels like fucking boring. Like the person who went there, who was in the collector's face, felt like they were out of place. And with all that being said, because G4 didn't really have as much of a focus on the toys as they did on the show, I can't imagine, I don't know if they will have a focus on the toys. I feel like a lot of people treat My Little Pony as if it is just a show and just a show alone. They don't acknowledge any of its history and they don't acknowledge any of the toys even. So I'm like, I don't know if they're going to have an emphasis on the toys because it wasn't even fucking brought up at the conference. All they brought up was the new show, and I get it was a show-based thing, like for Comic-Con, but it is worrying that they didn't even bring up the toys for a toy franchise.
Yeah. I'm just of the opinion that if you're going to make a My Little Pony generation, yes, absolutely, you can have people on the team who love G4 a lot, but you need to have other people on the team who know about the rest of My Little Pony. Because if you have this new generation being made by people who only know about one, and that is their entire vision of what My Little Pony is, you're not gonna end up with a good My Little Pony generation, because there's so much of what makes My Little Pony what it is that comes from the older generations. And it's especially odd to me if you're going to try to go for a Generation 3 feel, and then one of the big main involved people doesn't care about it at all. That's just weird to me, and that's, like, not conducive to making a good pony generation.
This is also just a tangent, and I mean no disrespect to Lauren Faust, but it does feel weird that everyone in that, like, convention was kind of treating her as like the god of My Little Pony, created everything herself, when it's like, no, she was inspired by earlier stuff and it's not like she can do no wrong. There have been missteps with the show she made, but like she's a great show creator, but it's just weird to me.
Yeah, I was curious why she was there. Like, was she only brought out to appeal to fans of G4? Because she had nothing to do with this new generation. She hasn't worked with Hasbro on anything pony related since, like, 2013, 2011, maybe? And it's like, she's just there because people think she is the creator of My Little Pony. And she's a creator of G4, sure, but
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fact that they brought her out just to sit there and talk about something she didn't even work on just shows that they wanted so desperately to recapture the G4 fan base. And this is something I said yesterday. But they want so badly to remake a G4, but they want to make changes that they think will be more profitable. And the issue with that is that instead of making a new take on old characters, any change they make now to this new G4 story is going to be like bastardizing the legacy of G4, and no one is going to be happy. Because if you say, this is the main six, except two of the characters aren't there, then people are going to be like, what the heck? We know two characters are supposed to be there, and they're very core parts of the entire show. And so that's
But
just
they
the issue they're going
didn't
to make.
sell well, even though they then went on to make an orange pony after complaining that the orange pony didn't sell well. They went on and made the orange pony a main character, an orange pony main character. But no, Applejack and Rarity didn't sell well, so we have to cut them out of the friendship. And then anything we do to these characters is going to be making them sell better, even though you know you don't have to do that, because obviously if they're still here, they sold really well.
Yeah, I kind of reject that whole they didn't sell well idea, because I know it's been a joke for a long time that Applejack isn't popular, but like, G4 merch is still being made. If not here, then in Asia. And Applejack and Rarity are always included. Like, the blind boxes, the little, like, Labubu things that they released at Pop Mart. Like, Applejack and Rarity were still included in those things, and some people really like them. So I don't know what the excuse
get
is.
it, because I love Applejack, but I don't know what she did to the Hasbro team, along with Rarity, who I thought was very popular.
I have a hot take that everyone in the fandom's gonna be mad at me. I am fucking surprised at how much everyone is mad about Applejack and Rarity. And it's not because I don't like them, but it's because I wasn't even expecting them in the first place, because I feel like for a long time, of course they exist in merch, but when it comes to like them making clothing for little girls, like 9 times out of 10, it was just the 4 characters that we have shown here. They were left out a lot of the times, and so like if it's not just a new season of the new show, if they're just rebooting it, I'm not surprised by them leaving them out. And I was surprised by the complete fucking outrage about it, because to me, I feel so disconnected from this that I can't even give the energy to give a shit. And so I don't give a shit that they're not there, because I don't care about this new generation at all. And I'm surprised that like people are caring so much.
Who wanted Generation 4 again, they wanted all the characters.
And I don't get the point of doing that for a generation. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I just feel, like I said, if they want to reboot G4,
just do it.
and they don't make it exactly like G4, then everyone will be upset. So by cutting the main 2 characters, and like I said, we don't know if they're not going to be main characters, we just know we're not starting off with them, which is a little weird, but honestly, I feel like it can work in their favor. Like, they said that this is going to be a lot more Magical Girl inspired, which I'm fine with, because I love Magical Girls. And part of like the Magical Girl formula, if it's a team, they find the rest of the team members within the next few episodes. Like, it takes a few episodes for the main cast to come together, if not a few seasons. Like with Sailor Moon, it took a few episodes for them to get the main few characters, and then a few seasons later they introduced the rest of the cast, the outer Senshi. And that's fine. It's very shocking that they want to do 2 things at once. They want to have G4 2, and they want to make big changes. And it's just like, you can't have both. You have to, if you want to evoke the beast that is the G4 community, then you have to make sure you are treading very, very lightly. Because if you make a mistake, everyone will ditch your show. Like, people who don't like G5, they will never, ever watch G5. They will never buy G5 merch because they didn't like it. And that's the kind of thing that will happen if they piss off enough people. And it's just like, nobody is happy. I haven't seen a single person be 100% happy. Maybe like 1 or 2 like comments that say, I'm so excited. But I've never seen someone in these past, like, I don't know, 48 hours say, I am 100% excited for G6, and this is why. Everyone has some apprehension. And I don't know if that's a good sign.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of mixed reactions from the community, and I'm just gonna briefly summarize, because I've seen it from all corners of the fandom. Collectors are pissed the fuck off. Everyone's just like, okay, this new generation is doomed to trash and shit, and it's not ever gonna be good because we didn't want G4 again. And I think that's a valid feeling to have. I still want to give the generation a fair chance because so far all we know is the premise, the title, and one image. But the stuff that has been shown, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. It kind of shows they aren't really caring about that collector side of the community, so I completely understand. Oh, it's just G4 2. Okay, I don't give a shit about this at all. I've seen bronies are pretty divided on it because half of them just love the new stuff and then the other half are focused on how it's different. And I think it is true that not everyone is going to be pleased. People were sharing memes about how bronies were begging for more G4, but now that they have G4, no one is happy about it. To me, that's just join any fandom. Join the Sonic fandom. That's how fucking people treat shit. You can never please all the fans, and so I wasn't expecting a new generation that would please all the fans, because I think if they made a new generation that was completely new and original, completely new characters, I feel like a lot of G4 fans would have been upset because they just wanted a G4 again. So I don't know. But I've seen a lot of mixed reactions. I have seen people being positive, oh, the designs are cute. That's the most positive thing I've seen. The designs are cute. And they like the idea. They like the idea of a magical girl G3 thing. Which I think it's a solid premise. I just still have my apprehensions.
Were people this mad when G5 came out?
Yes.
I don't remember people being this mad when G5 came out. When it was originally released, the first image we saw.
I remember, on Discord, if I went back in time on my shitty server that I don't go on anymore, I remember reacting to the new trailer, and people were just ooh, new pony stuff. Oh wow! I remember laughing because in the trailer, one of them hands them an ice cream cone, and I was like, how the fuck are they holding that with 3D
It's
hooves?
kind of hard with just new generations in general, because with every new generation, there's that point at the start where people don't like it. Even people who become fans, there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, because they have to adjust to the change of, okay, this is what My Little Pony will look like for a bit. So it's kind of hard because I think a lot of people were really put off by Generation 5's art style. And so a lot of people had been pretty negative about it. But that's kind of something that's just a given with a new generation. So it's kind of hard to tell if oh, is it because people actually didn't like it, or is it just because it was just the beginning growing pains that Generation 5 had? So it's kind of hard because I know there were a lot of people who hated the art style, and I was put off to Generation 5's art style when it came out. But you ask me now, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's cute. But with this, I feel like it's not growing pains, and it's no, this is not what people wanted. They are just genuinely upset.
I don't think it's growing pains. I think it's we're tired of this pains, to be honest. For the collectors.
That's what I said.
I know. I was just phrasing it in a way that made sense in my brain. Shut up.
I don't know. It's I said this 2 days ago now, but this is the first time I haven't been excited for new pony content. I just feel so scared because G4 means so much to me. All of ponies in general means so much to me. And it just feels like I'm not going to say this was a bad choice because it could totally be good because we don't know anything yet. And so I am not going to write anything off. But it just feels like I said, I haven't seen anyone say I'm excited for this with no hesitation. And I just don't think that's a good sign. It feels like no matter what happens, someone is upset. About either the designs or the characters or the format that it's going to be presented in. And when the toys come out, we're going to have people who are mad about the toys. And it just seems like they aren't pleasing anyone except children will probably like it. And that's all that Hasbro cares about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. They want kids to like it. And at the end of the day, we are all secondary to children.
But part of that is a lot of these parents are going to be people who watch Generation 4. And if they aren't happy, they might not show their kids at all. So there is also that concern.
Well, I feel like parents, if you're a parent, even if you were a fan of something as a kid, I don't see parents caring that much about not letting their kids watch something like that. They're probably like,
what I'm
this
saying is if you've got bronies now who are parents, which absolutely there are, their kids might not be watching this version if they get mad, and they might decide, oh, you want to watch My Little Pony? Let's go watch Generation 4. And then you'll have kids watching the older one and missing out on this one because you didn't make their parents, who are also fans, happy. So that's also like something that could be happening.
I think the majority of parents don't give a shit, and I say this as someone who works with parents every day. I think the majority of parents don't give a shit.
Parents
I know. I just feel like, because most kids nowadays, I mentioned this yesterday, or 2 days ago, most kids don't even fucking know shit about My Little Pony G5, or if they know My Little Pony, it's because they know the old G4 show, but most kids are a little too young to remember when that was in the peak of its prime, and so I do genuinely think a lot of kids will just get into My Little Pony, and I do think this would be popular with kids regardless of its quality, and so I think it's gonna be a success, and I'm happy for that. Like, I'm happy if they can have a success with kids, because that's what matters most. Like, I do think it is good that they are focusing on children and having, like, the collectors and bronies be secondary.
No, absolutely, we shouldn't be the primary audience. But it's also, like, you gotta, even if you're focusing on the kids, like, they deserve a good show, man. At least put care into making them a good show. Which I don't know if they'll do.
Yeah.
I hope they do, because it does sound very cute, but I don't have a lot of faith.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I've said I'm disappointed. I think I'm mostly just numb. Because, like, the way that I've been with current My Little Pony stuff for the past, like, half a decade, G5 is fine. I don't particularly have strong opinions about it. I have strong opinions about Hasbro's business decisions, but G5 itself is just genuinely fine, whatever. I can enjoy it. I also have a lot of things where I'm like, I wish this was done better. And whenever I, like, went to the store and saw G5 stuff, maybe, I never bought anything G5 myself, but I have G5 stuff because, like, my grandmother gifted me several G5 ponies, like, I've been gifted them, and I like the ones I have, mildly, but, like, I just don't care enough to buy it, and I feel like this new generation is just like, oh, okay, it exists, I can't bring myself to care about it, but I'll mildly enjoy it, is what I'm predicting. Like, I won't care enough to like, I'll probably be, like, exasperated by Hasbro's business decisions, but I won't have the energy to have any further opinions than that.
Yeah.
Because I'm so tired. All I've done the past few days is seen the fucking internet explode. And I have, like, been discussing my thoughts and been thinking and ruminating on it, and I'm just too tired for that, man. I'm too tired.
It's gonna be a long wait until 2027, and we'll probably get more and more images and leaks, and like I said yesterday, we'll probably get another G5 bedsheet situation where the first look we'll have at anything is, like, a store uploading their listing too early, and it's like, I'm just if this doesn't get better, then it's gonna get worse. And the more we see, the more people are gonna be upset. And I just feel like this is not good. Because if people were happy with the G5 leaks, then I don't know what this means that people are upset on the first image.
Yeah, one of my big concerns is that if Hasbro cannot just get it through their head that they have to put care and effort into My Little Pony, and that they have to just focus on making something good and letting the generation sit instead of doing what they did with Generation 5 and expecting instant Generation 4 level success, completely forgetting that it took a bit for Generation 4 to get there. And they just start panicking again and making worse decisions again, and then just end up pulling the plug again and convincing themselves that, oh, the generation failed all on its own, it was bad, it was awful, and that it wasn't their own fault. I'm worried that they're going to start convincing themselves that My Little Pony just isn't fit to continue. And that's like worst case scenario, but it's honestly like what they did to Generation 5 is just so wild and insane. And then to just immediately fall back on, instead of, learning, okay, just focus on making something good, let the generation give it time, just actually like sitting and reflecting on why Generation 5 failed and how it kind of was their own fault. I'm worried that they're, just going back to G4, just like, okay, Generation 4 works, just do it again. And if it doesn't work, that they're going to freak out even more and just start dumping it down the drain, and that they're going to be like, oh, well, maybe My Little Pony just can't be a thing anymore, and it's going to be really stupid. But that's like worst case scenario that I'm worried about, if they just kill My Little Pony themselves because they can't be bothered to actually learn and make something good, and they're just going to freak out if it doesn't immediately work.
At this point, I'm just convinced that any universe where it's possible to have a new, like, original generation of My Little Pony is dead. Because Hasbro has kind of proven that they really just want to get back to the height of their success in G4. And I don't know if they understand how to do that again. And
no, they don't. They don't remember what made G4, and they don't remember the amount of time it took for it to get there. They don't remember anything about it. All they know is that Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash brought them in so much fucking money, and completely forgot why.
It's that
you're good.
G4 was written by someone who had experience as a writer and had a creative vision, and I don't think that the people who wrote G5 are necessarily bad writers, but I feel like the corporate meddled with their ideas a lot to the point where they gave up on them, and G6 is being written by the same people who made G5, and like, I'm not gonna say, oh, these people are awful writers, so they should never write anything again, but it's like, they better turn their act around. They better feel more committed to making a good product. And I know that, like, even if a writer's good, they have to do what the company says they should. But there's still ways to do that without making a lesser product.
I just kind of fear that it'll always feel like a pale imitation. Like they're just trying to imitate what was good. And I had another thought. I just forgot what it was.
Just getting someone who cares and letting them make something good and honor My Little Pony. It's just, well, no, we have to be safe and we have to do what works, even if it kills My Little Pony.
I don't think that we're ever going to get something as good as G4, and it's not to say that it can't happen, but it's that no one wants to put in the work to make it happen.
Yeah, it's not that it can't happen, it's that it won't because Hasbro doesn't care enough.
And when I talk about me not having faith in Hasbro, it's not just because of My Little Pony and the way they've treated that series, although I do think that is contributing to my viewpoint, but it's also the fact that, like, across all of their toy franchises, they have been getting lazier, they have been getting more greedy, they have just wanted money, and so they do tons and tons of, like, fucking making 1 million copies of something and just changing it slightly to attempt to make more money, like, with, like, I'm thinking specifically of, like, board games, but also, like, their other toy franchises. The quality has been getting worse and worse, where, like, to the point where, like, I can't ever see them trying again, because they're a monopoly. They own Monopoly, but, like, they are a toy monopoly in the sense that, like, they own a shit ton of shit, and they aren't losing money anytime soon, even if like people boycott them or something. Like, but that's never going to affect them that much because they have like millions of dollars, and I don't think they have any incentive to give a shit about their toy quality. And so I do think that impacts My Little Pony. Looking at other Hasbro toys that have declined in quality amongst the years, unless someone actually gives a shit at Hasbro in charge of My Little Pony currently, I don't ever see things changing.
To make things better, all we need is just someone on the team who knows all of My Little Pony and not just one generation, and who is committed to honoring My Little Pony and just making something good. But that isn't happening. We've got people who love Generation 4, and that's genuinely really awesome, and I'm happy that there is at least people on the team who like a generation, but it's not enough because it kind of just ends up feeding into Hasbro's attitude of just Generation 4. Like, it's good that there's people who care about Generation 4, and it's good that they seem passionate about My Little Pony, but it's just not enough to break through Hasbro's bullshit.
We can only just hope it's going to be good.
Yeah.
That's all that's left to do is keep your expectations realistic and just hope.
I don't know why I had hope.
Be okay.
I will say, regardless of my fears, regardless of my disdain, my disappointment, I do want to encourage people to give things a fair chance. Like, don't just write off the show completely because you don't like the idea of it. There have been many things where I'm like, oh, that looks fucking stupid. But then I check it out and it becomes like a special interest of mine. So like, give things a fair chance. You don't know the quality of something until it's out. And also, I would like to encourage people to be respectful to other people regardless of their opinions, because I have seen a lot of hostility towards each other. Like, the different in-groups in the fandom are fighting over their opinions and shit. And, like, regardless of if we agree on our takes, if you're a fan of My Little Pony Generation 6, it doesn't matter if I think it's cringe, it doesn't matter if I think it's, like, bad, yada yada, I'll still support you and your love for something like that, and vice versa. Like, I'll support your opinions, just try to be respectful of people, because at the end of the day, it's okay for someone to like something that is bad, okay? Well, if that is all of our thoughts, then I'm gonna bring this episode to a close, and I would like to thank all of our listeners for listening. And if you guys have any thoughts on the new generation, if you're having thoughts on, like, the different information that was revealed, on the art style, your ideas about what the toys might be like, your ideas on how the fandom has been reacting to it, feel free to comment on it below, start a discussion. We always love the engagement. And I would also like to add that I do plan on starting the podcast back up regularly. Yeah! I feel like people will be like, Casey, you've said that for the last, 3 episodes, and then there were month hiatuses in between them. I got a job, I've been going through IRL stuff, but, I am getting back into ponies, and I think with the start of a new generation, we can commit to having more regular episodes, so look forward to that.
I'm just happy to be back.
Yeah! I'm happy to have you guys here with us. And with that, I'll say thank y'all for watching. Bye!